We've had Stewardship Month, and your preacher hasn't asked you for a dime. Is that pretty cool or what? It's pretty cool. I mean, think about it. I want us to look at the verse this morning. We're going to look at one single verse, and we're just going to basically celebrate today. I wanted to show you, 4 years ago or something, I used this illustration. We're going to use it again today, but I want to share this one verse with you because I think it's interesting how we view some things sometimes. And so this passage is from 2 Corinthians, and it says this: everyone should give whatever they have decided in their heart. They shouldn't give with hesitation or because of pressure. God loves a cheerful giver. This passage is quite interesting to me, and I find it interesting especially that church people sometimes are afraid of preachers. They're afraid of preachers, that they're going to talk about money because they feel like they're going to be coerced into giving something they don't want to give. Now, if we were that powerful, Chad, we would be at a lot larger church than this, I'm afraid. Here's the thing. God has said from the beginning, give what's in your heart. There are blessings if you give. There are the lack of blessings if you don't give. But it's your decision. You make those decisions. And so, but the thing that we try to do from our end of the spectrum is we want to remind you, not that you need to give, but we want to remind you of the difference and remind you of some of the things. Because you know what? Okay, if Chad and I preached every single Sunday on giving, if every single Sunday we preached on giving, and you heard a 25-minute sermon every single week on how, and we tried our best to coerce you to give money to the church every single Sunday for 25 minutes every single week, that would be approximately 52 weeks. So let's say, I'm not the numbers guy, so all of you guys that crunch numbers for a living, just forgive this, but it's going to be somewhere around, what's it going to be, 25 hours? Is that about right? 25-ish hours that you will have heard in a whole year. That's if we did that every single sermon, and that's what we spent our entire sermon doing. Did you know that you spend, if you watch TV, you spend 25 hours, maybe a week, and for sure a month, of people trying to coerce you to get rid of your money? You realize that, right? And you do it willingly. Matter of fact, most of us pay to get the TV so we can be coerced. Isn't that right? So it's just interesting to me because sometimes you'll have somebody that doesn't like the preacher and hates this time of the year because we're scared to death that somebody's going to try to coerce $1 out of us when we live our lives being coerced, and this isn't even what this is about. The reminder is this: when we give, God blesses. This passage, it says behind me, God loves a cheerful giver, right? So I hope you never feel coerced, but I do hope that we do a good job of explaining what God says about giving, because God's principles are there, and they're good for life. And so we just want to share something. One of the things that God one of the principles that God gave us was that from the Old Testament even, and this was before Christianity. So this was the thing. He said you need to give 10%. Of course, they had 3 tithes. Okay, so they ended up giving 30%. In the Old Testament, they had 3 different tithes that they would give, or 10% to. But we're just talking about just the regular general offering, the regular tithe. And so these 10 apples represent each one a tenth. And I like tart, crisp apples. And so a Granny Smith, right? Y'all recognize the Granny Smith here, okay? But here's, there are different ones, and so each one of these is going to represent something. Like this is probably the biggest apple up here, and while they roughly represent 10%, this one to me would represent house payment, okay? Because if you're making a living, if those of you already have your houses paid off, think about this for your children and grandchildren. A house payment gets to be a majority or a big part of what we do with our money. It becomes a large part because we always want a little more than we need, and then we fill it with stuff that we don't use, and then we rent a storage building because. Never mind. We'll stop there. And so, but here's what happens is because sometimes we just want the house that we've always dreamed of, and so we have these house payment things we got, and so we have, and we know that we've set aside some money, but then the taxes go up, or the insurance rate changes. Nobody here has ever had insurance rate rise. Is that correct? Well, okay, insurance rate, and so we have this, and so. We have all of our stuff, and we're trying to live off this 90%, 9/10 of this, but everything else is allocated. And so sometimes when the house payment gets a little big or the number changes, then we really only have one place to take that from, is the 10th that we're going to give God, right? Woo. That's tart. Perfect. Should have brought a trash can to spit this in. And so, that's fine. We'll turn it this way, right? And so we're fine because we set aside. This was going to be a short sermon until I had to swallow the apple. Okay, and it's fine because we've done everything we need to do, and we've got things, and we've just taken just a little bit because we just had a shortfall on the house payment and stuff, and so that's fine. So we're good. We turned it around. It doesn't really show. Nobody sees it. We still put some stuff in the offering plate or whatever, and so we're good. But then what happens is our life kind of gets interesting from time to time, and so it comes about this time of the year, and actually in just 4 weeks is Black Friday. Well, we come this time of the year, and we've did some vacation this year, and really what happened was, this was a special year because it was our 4th anniversary, or it was our 28th anniversary, or it was our 52nd anniversary, but it was a special year, right? Those are the ones we like to honor. And so we had this trip we had a chance to make, and we wanted to make those trips before we got too old to not be able to make them anymore. And so we make the trip, and we did fine, except we realized that in case we couldn't make it, because as we get a little older, some of you, this will be a surprise for you, as we get a little older, sometimes we're not in as good as health as we were when we were in our 20s. And so we really need the insurance, right, for a trip? And we forgot to plan for the insurance. But here's an extra 10%. We're living on 90, so we have extra 10%, right? And so at this time, what we originally said we were going to give God actually becomes kind of a savings, extra account, right? It becomes extra thing. Kind of put it back. We want to make all the percentage we can off of it in our savings account, and so we're going to give it on the 31st of December anyway. And so it's just sitting back there. We're trying to get every penny we can make off of God. So we'll do that. And life is good. No big deal. Then the car breaks down. We've been putting some money back. We've been putting money back for a car. But when we went shopping, the prices went up. Right? And we've been putting money back to the car, and we got most of that, and we kind of figured out how we were going to finish paying off the car without having to have big payments on it. But the problem was, did you ever go get your tag and find out the first year you get your tag? What is that stuff they charge you all the time? Like tax upon tax upon tax, isn't it? I'm glad we get to these things, but you know, sometimes we just have to go to that money we've been putting back. It was God's money. Now it's kind of becoming a savings account. It's kind of working for our benefit, right? We have really good insurance, and we've been kind of making sure we pay our insurance up. But when we fell out of the deer stand, I have prayed for you, but I did laugh while I was praying. No, seriously, I'm sorry you hurt yourself, but you know, I asked your sister if you're ever going to learn, and she said probably not. No, but seriously, have you had a ride in an ambulance? Last year about this time, I was on my way to the district conference, and I was on my way, and I was riding the back road, and I told the story, and I was on my little motorcycle, and which I've gotten rid of since, and the turn was sharp, and there were lots of gravel there, and so it went down, and I went down, and it kind of blacked out, and whatever. And so these guys were standing on me, and they insisted I'd take a ride in the ambulance. And you know, that ambulance was from a different town. And when I wanted to come to Bartlesville, and my insurance didn't cover that. Some of you, since baseball doesn't really count, football is the sport, you want to be looking for the new big screen TV this year, because the Super Bowl will be televised in 4K. 4K, which is brilliant, right? It's awesome. If you don't have a 4K TV, you need one. They're a little expensive, but you got a savings account, right? You're living off 90%, and so you have some of this right here, and God knows, God loves football. God helped Texas win over Baylor yesterday. I'm convinced. I'm not even going to repeat that. No, I'm going to. That was too good. Ariel said that God helped Texas beat over Baylor because the Baylor are Baptist anyway. So that was awesome. And so you know what I'm talking about. I won't belabor the point anymore. But here's the deal. We've given all of this. God has blessed us with all this. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to go to Walmart very long and just sit around the front door and realize there are people that are less fortunate than us in the world, right? You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to go to a third world country. You don't even have to go 1 mile, right here, 1 mile, and sit in the front of Walmart for an hour. You'll see it. And we have been so stinking blessed, and God has given us all of this that we can live our lives with, and we take this, and God says, 90, all of this, live off of this. All I'm asking back is you do this because I want my ministry to go forward in the world. That's all God asked for in return is this right here, okay? But we know life's been hard, and so it starts looking like this. But we're ready to give. We're on our way to church. We've got God's money in our pocket. What's left of it? And so we're ready to put it in an offering plate. Now, Mark, just apologize for whoever is going to count the offering today. Tell them that's apple juice that's on the cards, okay? We're on our way. Life is good. And you know what's on the way for some of us? What's right on the way to church, right on the corner? Starbucks. And the money's in your pocket. Have you bought coffee at Starbucks? It's expensive. But God, you've asked for 10% from me. I put this back for you. This was all yours. It's all yours. Thank you for your blessings. And then we expect God to be thrilled with us because we've been so gracious with God. After all, what has God done for us? Given us everything we have in life, right? I know this is a oversimplified, and some of you may say this is a stupid example. But if you be honest with yourself, for some of us, not all of us, some of us, this is really what happens. It looks stupid when we're doing it up here and we laugh, but it's really a pretty honest example of how some of us live our lives. So blessed by God. And yet, the one thing God asks us for, the small, small part, we just can't quite do it. Do I think you need to give all your money? No. Here's what I think you need to do. I think you need to give what you decided in your heart you need to give to God. But I think you need to remember as you do this that God blesses the what kind of giver? And so if we've decided in our heart we're going to give as unto God, then I think that's what we need to do. I'm going to ask we have a couple of people I think they're going to pass out some cards here. I think those might be Chad and Ariel, maybe. I'd given the cards to someone. I thought they were going to do that. So what we're doing. Let me tell you how the business part of the church works. Okay, here's the spiritual side. God loves a cheerful giver, and what we give, we put to work. Okay, we're not ever trying to build savings accounts. What we're trying to do is do ministry, and so that's what we're really trying to do with our lives and with the money that's given, with God's money that we give back to God. But let me talk about the business side for just a second, because that is a real part of the church. In the coming month, we make decisions based on what kind of ministry we plan to do next year. That ministry that we're going to do next year, there are a lot of decisions that's based on the direction we want to go, the vision that we have, and one of the parts is the money that we have to do the ministry. And so what we're doing is we've asked you, and you should have gotten a letter from us, and Joe and I sent a letter, and what we've asked you to do is to share what you feel like God is leading you to give in the coming year, so that we can look at that, put a total on that, so we can then try to do the best ministry we can over the next year. Now, we're going to do ministry this year based on what you plan to give. So there's a couple of things we can do. We can do really good ministry. We can do ministry. We can fold up, sell the building, and join First Church. Okay? So those are the three options. Okay? And God and you have to work that out. Okay? It's not my decision. It's not anybody's, but it's us as we give. And so here's the thing. We're going to do the ministry that you are willing to support. When we sit down on our meetings, we're not going to print money, although that would be nice. We're not going to gnash our teeth. We're not going to cry big tears. What we're going to do, we're going to sit down and we're going to say, this is what people said they're willing to give to ministry. Then we're going to do ministry based on that. We'll make sure our hires fit in that. We'll make sure the ministries that we support outside of the local walls fit inside of that. And so what we're asking from you is that you share with us so we can make wise decisions for you and for us, because we give too, all right? So if you brought a card, put it in here. Thank you for that already. If you haven't already turned in a card and you say, man, I forgot mine at the house, if you would raise your hand, these guys have cards, and they would be happy to give you another card right now. So there's some right here. If they'll give that card, and we'll give you a few moments here. And we're going to sing another hymn here in just a moment. And as we sing that hymn, we're bringing up, here, just sit there where these balloons are. I'll put the balloons back up here. By the way, Gene, awesome job on the altar. It looks so nice. I've already given my 10%, kind of. And so during this hymn, as we sing the hymn, we're just going to invite you to come. And there are a couple of offering plates here. Just turn it over so it faces down, so that people aren't peeking. We know that sometimes we get a little anxious about if somebody knows something about our lives. So that's fine. Turn them upside down, and we invite you to do that during this next hymn, anytime during the hymn, if you do that, or even at the end of the service, you're welcome to come up and do it then. But here's the thing, just remember, how much ministry you want to do is how much we're going to do this year, okay? We've gone through the reserves, and so we're going to do whatever you say to do. Whatever you and God have decided on in your own hearts, that's what we're doing. So we invite you to be a part as we do ministry. God, thank you that we are so blessed.